You know what? Sometimes it's okay to change your mind, and I think I'm changing my mind about Sequin.io. And really, the way that I connect Airtable to my favorite tool of choice, Google Looker Studio, in order to create concrete, scalable reporting for our clients. Now, we're looking at Coupler.io today, and I feel like it's one of those products that I've kept my eye on over the years because they are produced by a company called Railsware. And Railsware is absolutely cool. They've done some fantastic products over the years, and Coupler, I feel like it's that mature version of an Airtable importer that I've been looking for a while. And yeah, it's time to stress test it and see how it performs, especially compared to competitors like Sequin.io or even Skyvia. Ugh. Let's take a quick look and see what's up. And hey, by the way, if you're new here, my name is Alex, and on this channel, we talk about anything and everything Airtable, databases, automation, automating Airtable, AI, you name it, we do it. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get stuck in. All right, so I've just logged into Coupler, and here we go. The first thing that you see is the importer screen, and I'm just gonna add a new importer. Press the add importer button and then just choose a source. I'm gonna choose Airtable, and of course you have loads of other sources. It's not just Airtable, but I guess you could also use Google Sheets, and there's plenty of other integrated services. WooCommerce, I think, is very interesting. YouTube is amazing. Stripe, another amazing pre-baked importer. Pick and choose. I'm just going to choose Airtable. My destination is going to be Looker Studio, and it doesn't have to be. I could push it into BigQuery. I could push it into Looker Studio, like I intend to. And there's a bunch of other ones, including Postgres. So let's choose Looker Studio and let's just go set up from scratch. There's a few other prepared templates. So set up from scratch. First thing that I need to do is set up shared URL in my Airtable. So let's go into my data source. As you can see, I've got 5,000 records, which is quite a lot. Well, I mean, it's not really, but it's a lot for just a, off the cuff demo. So 5,000 records, share and sync, create a link to view. I'm just going to copy that link, paste it in, continue. Yep, there's no password, transform data. And now it's going to fetch just the first 500 rows. And we're just going to get a quick little preview of what the data looks like. And this is actually quite okay. And here you can edit certain columns. In other words, you can basically clarify to Coupler that, this is actually a date column, or this is actually a numbers column, and so forth, which is really, really important because typically when you're using things like Sequin, for instance, Sequin.io, which I've mentioned, I think, once or twice in one of my previous videos. So yeah, I had to go back and forth quite a bit between Sequin and Looker Studio in order for that data to appear the way that I wanted it to appear within Looker Studio for my reports. So this is actually quite nice that you can edit and normalize the columns. I'm just gonna leave it as is, and I'm just hit proceed. So once you hit generate data source, you're gonna be greeted with the connector setup within your instance of Looker Studio. Now, I already have one untitled importer. Let me see if I can title this. Yeah, there we go. So let's call this Excel Sales Data V1. Successfully updated. Let me run this again. And there you go. Excel Sales Data V1 from Airtable. Then all I have to do is just press connect. And I probably should have named this one as well, but hey ho. So that is now connected, and I can now go ahead and create a report. And here we go. The report is basically ready for me to start working on it. Now, I'm gonna create a quick little report. I'm gonna add a bunch of different modules and little graphs and whatnot. And I'm gonna come back and show you how it actually performs, because that is the most important thing. You can hook up data to Google Looker Studio, but it's a whole different story to see how it actually performs with that data. And now that we have 5,000 records, it's definitely a stress test to a degree, of course, but let's see how it performs after I've tinkered with it and made some adjustments. Oh, by the way, almost forgot, we actually have to finish the setup in Coupler. Yeah, we have our authorization, and now you can also set up a few other like parameters and you can create calculated fields. That's actually kind of cool, whatever. At this point, I'll just press finish. We want to turn on automatic data refresh. And here you can just basically say, you know, how often do you want the data to refresh automatically? Based on my plan, I can do this once a day, which I think for most business owners is absolutely fine. But you could also upgrade to every hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Of course, you have a set amount of refreshes per month, but you know, that is what it is. The bigger you get, the more interesting problems you're gonna get. So this is one of those things. Basically, I think that's it. There's not much else to it. I'm just gonna run the importer and it's running now. That's basically it. It's all good. I will now proceed with setting up my report so that we can actually take a look at how the whole thing behaves and how quickly it refreshes when you trigger it and all of that thing. All right, so the dashboard is ready. As you can see, I've spent, 5-10 minutes to set this whole thing up. It's actually a copy of the one that we did for Skyvia. Remember the Skyvia connector that we did a few weeks ago? Well, it's the same dashboard, only now we're using more data and we're using Coupler. So yeah, let's take a look at how this whole thing behaves within Coupler. So I'm gonna try and test this a little bit. In other words, I'm gonna try and refresh it and see if it breaks, if something just misbehaves. Because with Skyvia's connector, you would like refresh the whole thing and some modules would work, some wouldn't. And now I've refreshed it and it's absolutely a-okay. Let's now try something else. I'm gonna try and copy a single module, and you can do that by right-click, copy, and then paste. Very straightforward, and that is basically working. Yeah, that looks a-okay. Now I want to try and change a value. So let's just say that I want to bump the sales by $30. So right now total sales is $205,176, which is correct. So 205,176, let's change this value from 30 to 60, and the total sales should now be 205,2060. Of course, this is not gonna refresh itself. The auto refresher is going to run at some point. I mean, right now it runs once a day, but let's say we force it. So I'm running it now. It says open. Okay, let's open that up. And I'm just gonna refresh my dashboard. No data. Interesting. Okay, it's probably just running right now. Let's just refresh it one more time. I mean, I'm surprised it hasn't broken yet. And there you go. It refreshed. How cool is that? All right. So the next test that I want to subject my little dashboard to is the amount of connections. Now, if you followed some of the previous videos before that we've done on this subject, you will probably know by now that Google Looker Studio creates a connection to XYZ database that is feeding it every single time you add a new module, especially for things like Postgres. And therefore, it's important for you to know that so that your database actually has enough capacity to accept new connections, multiple connections. So what I'm going to do now very quickly, well, we're going to speed this up. I'm going to make the dashboard bigger and I'm just going to copy the modules and we'll see how many modules we can fit within like a page and see what happens. All right, so I've added a bunch of copies of the modules that we already have. 8, 12, 16, 20, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so we basically have a ton of modules, which kind of mimics a very busy dashboard that you might be working on. And I'm just gonna try and refresh all of this. So refresh the data, see how it all behaves. Let's see how quickly it refreshes and comes back to life And then we're also going to do yet another change of data. We're going to try and pull data from Airtable one more time. It's taking its time, but I think it's understandable. Here we go. Stuff is coming back to life. Are we completely back? Everything looks normal. Very good. Yeah, let's change a little bit of data. So let's add another 30. So we're going to make that 10 into a 40, and this is the magic number that we're looking for, 205236. Let's refresh our importer, do another run. Let's do another refresh. Takes its time. Okay, it hasn't refreshed just yet. Let's try that again. We're looking for that 236 to update over here in total sales. Still no joy. Let's refresh it. Let's refresh the whole page. Interesting. Still no joy. Let me do another refresh. Maybe it's just a little bit late. Maybe it's just delayed a bit. I mean, technically, this is only going to refresh like once a day. There you go. And it refreshed. It takes like a minute or so, but it seems to work. Has anything changed with my billing or my usage? Let's check that out, because that was another contributing factor to how Skyvia kind of failed. And I can see that I've only used 8 out of 500 runs for the month. My import size hasn't changed compared to what I had it before. Everything is looking really, really, really good. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this little tutorial, demo, I don't know what to call this. So yeah, I feel like Coupler is like my favorite tool of choice from now on. As you saw, it behaved pretty much perfectly throughout the demo. Loads of rows, refreshes. It just didn't even flinch. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.